Ba-da-ba, ba-da-ba, ba-da-ba. Ba-da-ba, ba-da-ba, ba-da-ba. Jimmy Kimmel Live. This is ridiculous. From his house.
Hi there, I'm Jimmy. I'm the host of the... Oh, sorry. I had to make a catch-up run. We are now a month and a half into quarantine, and I've noticed, and maybe you've noticed, there are a few phrases I've been hearing a lot, maybe even too much. And the first one is, how you holding up? I don't know, like this? I'm not. The better question would be, are you gradually falling apart? Another one is stay healthy. Everyone says stay healthy. It's nice, it's a nice thought, but what happens if I don't? Then do you say, I told you to stay healthy? And this is the worst one, the new normal. Stop saying that. This is not the new normal. The president wants us to gargle Lysol and we have to wear scuba masks to Trader Joe's. It might be new, but there's nothing normal about this. Here's something I never thought anyone would ever have to worry about. It's hard to believe, but this thing with Trump and the swallow your hand sanitizer comment is still causing trouble. So much so, Trump's own FDA is now asking big corporations to change their ingredients.
An effort is underway to make hand sanitizers taste worse. Today, the FDA asked manufacturers to make sanitizers more bitter so that children and adults won't drink it.
Who would even think to drink it? You would have to be very thirsty to wash down a couple of Tide Pods with some hand sanitizer. But calls to poison control about this have spiked dramatically. Maybe people just need something to do. You know, a lot of people are out of work. In every state, the governor of Kentucky, a guy named Andy Beshear, has been giving regular updates to his constituents on television. So on Monday, he addressed unemployment claims in his state and some of the issues that they've been facing related to those claims.
Now, understand that, unfortunately, it's going to take a little bit of time in these because a couple of bad apples can make this challenge that much more difficult. For instance, we had somebody apply for unemployment for Tupac Shakur here in Kentucky.
Well, of course, Tupac is filing for unemployment. He hasn't put out an album in years. Two things we learned this week: UFOs are real and Tupac is alive. But then the next day, the governor, after getting some unexpected information, went back on TV to apologize.
I owe somebody an apology tonight. Last night I spent a little bit of time talking about fraudulent claims holding us up. I mentioned an individual that had filed in the name of Tupac Shakur. I didn't know, and it's my fault, that we have a Kentuckian who goes by Malik, whose name is Tupac Shakur.
And he is about to write one hell of a diss track about me. By the way, I want to shout out to the sign language interpreter who knew how to sign. I think this is the sign for Tupac Shakur, right? West Coast. Meanwhile, here in California, no doubt about it, our governor, Gavin Newsom, unveiled a 4-part plan to reopen the state. We're now in phase 1, which is stay home and cry a lot. But the plan is to gradually get things up and running, starting with the most essential and lowest risk jobs, and then eventually getting to porn. It's important for our states to get it right, because if they don't, we may be in for another round of this. Dr. Fauci said that if states lift their stay-at-home orders too soon, we could be right back in the same boat we were in a few weeks ago. And that boat, by the way, is a Diamond Princess cruise ship. I think maybe Dr. Fauci is just saying we need to stay at home so Brad Pitt will keep playing him for another 6 months. But meanwhile, Team Trump is declaring victory. The president's pretty little son-in-law was on Fox and Friends this morning. He said the federal government rose to the challenge and that this is a great success story. And irony is now as dead as his eyes. But that wasn't the craziest thing he said. Watch this carefully, because I really want you to look. I find this to be fascinating.
Well, I think what we've seen with the pandemic that's approached, there's been a lot of unforeseen challenges that we've worked hard through. This is just one of the many challenges. The team was on it. President Trump was working on it over the weekend with the Secretary of Agriculture, the Vice President, Chief of Staff Meadows, and he took strong action yesterday to make sure that the Americans will have all the food supply that they need.
Okay, did you get that? To make sure that the Americans will have all the food supply that they need. Let's see that again.
To make sure that the Americans will have all the food supply that they need.
The Americans will have all the food supply they need. If we are they, what are you? It? I think we may have just happened upon proof that Jared is a robot. And here's more proof of that. Somehow, the Ivanka 3000 bot seemed to know in advance that we would be goofing on him.
And again, the goal here is to get people back to work. The eternal lockdown crowd can make jokes on late night television, but the reality is that the data's on our side.
The data is what keeps me alive. I love the idea that he's watching late night television to see if we make jokes about him. Jared, in case you are, here's a few I think you'll like. Jared Kushner is so dead inside, the president calls him Melania. Jared Kushner looks like if white privilege had a baby with raw cookie dough. Jared Kushner looks like a Pez dispenser of young Sheldon. Even Jared from Subway is like, this Jared gives me the creeps. What was I talking about? Oh, yes, the virus. The idea that Jared thinks things are going great is nuts. This virus has now killed more Americans than the Vietnam War, and Donald Trump has the distinction of not helping out with either one. But Trump, for once, was not the dope of the day today. That honor went to Mike Pence, who's usually such a good boy, but he had to defend himself because he opted not to wear a mask to the Mayo Clinic.
Since I don't have the coronavirus, I thought it'd be a good opportunity for me to be here, to be able to speak to these researchers, these incredible healthcare personnel, and look them in the eye and say thank you.
See, he didn't want to wear a mask because he wanted to look them in the eye and say thank you. What kind of mask was he planning to wear? Spider-Man? It's a respiratory mask. It's not supposed to go over your eyes. It goes over your nose and your mouth. And of course, the real reason we know he didn't wear a mask is because his boss won't wear a mask. And Mike Pence is nothing if not deferential. He's not allowed to take credit for anything, so everything he does, he never neglects to mention is at the direction of the president.
At the president's direction, this is one team. Today, at the president's direction, we hosted a conference call. At the president's direction, we've been working tirelessly.
There are dozens of examples of that, and they're even funnier if you remove the letter D from direction.
Today, at the president's direction.
Today, at your direction. We also, at your direction.
This team has been at your direction, Mr. President. At this president's direction. At the president's direction, our administration. At the president's direction. At the president's direction. At the president's direction. At the president's direction. At the president's direction.
It is so big. It is so, it's so enormous.
I think I need to get out of the house.